Hi, I'm Dynasty Wright, aka Little Miss Devil, and welcome to the Toon Minds Show, the podcast that takes you inside the wild imaginations of today's top cartoon creators. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at @LittleMissDevil_ for more fun and exclusive content. And now with that out of the way, enjoy the show. Hey, welcome to the third episode of Toon Minds, the podcast that takes you inside the wild imaginations of today's top cartoon creators. I'm your super pumped host, Dynasty Wright. I'm sure you cartoon fans might know me better as Little Miss Devil, cartoonist, writer, and creator behind the indie Krampus series, Realm of Dreams. Today's guest is the creator for the upcoming animated series, The Incredible Adventures of Detective Cat. Innovator Alex Moss. Welcome.
Hi.
Nice to have you on here. We're happy to have you.
Charmed, I'm sure.
And is that Mr. Oh, is that Detective Cat himself? Oh wow, this is cute.
Yes, this was actually made by a friend of mine.
Oh, that's nice. That's really cute. Aw. So we're gonna jump into the first question. Let's go way back to young Charles. What got you into art? What made you pursue a career in animation?
Oh gosh, well, like most young artists, I've grown up on Disney films and Saturday morning cartoons, and I think around middle school and high school, I was collecting DVDs of Disney films when they had all those special features, and I just became really enamored with the passion and drive behind those movies and the way they're made, and I was addicted to the internet. I still am, and I've been looking up random facts about movies and especially animated films. And the more I learned about animation, the more I really appreciated it as an art form and as a storytelling tool. And I always liked drawing in general. I always drew in my notebook in school and traced on Pokemon, how to draw books, and halfway through high school, I started taking art classes and I learned to get better at it. But that's what really inspired me to get into this.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I could definitely see why you'd want to make your own project because of the stuff that you grew up with. It's cool to see all these characters on screen all the time and everything. So, question two. So, did you have any favorite cartoons growing up? Are there any that inspired you in your work?
Oh gosh, where do I begin? Animaniacs, Arthur, The Simpsons, SpongeBob. And even during my late teen years and adult years, I still, watch the newest cartoons and newest animated shows because I always value animation as, you know, a different form of storytelling where most people would think that it's just kid stuff, but it's,
Yeah.
I'm glad we're kind of moving away from that. But anyway, I like, um, yeah, I liked The Simpsons, SpongeBob, Animaniacs, and I even rediscovered some old shows that I've never watched before, like Darkwing Duck, and that definitely played a huge role in the development of the series.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. And I can definitely see the when it comes to Detective Cat, I can definitely see the Animaniacs like inspiration behind it, like the zany like wacky characters. I definitely can see the inspo because they're both really funny. So
Yes, and what I what I found special about those shows is that they weren't just entertaining for kids. The writing and the characters were, just as appealing to adults too. And I wanted to
that's
make
true.
something that kind of sits on the same shelf as those shows.
Oh yeah, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. So, all right, Detective Cat. How did this awesome series get started? Feel free to share details about your project and its beginnings.
Back in college, I did this watercolor assignment, and I was told that I could do whatever I want. So I made some character sheets, and I just came up with the most generic placeholder kind of character, Detective Cat, and killer trout and all these different things. And when I was creating this character, I started formulating a world in my head, and I realized, this could be something very special. And so when I was entering grad school, I started, playing around with him some more. And I even made a thesis film for
Oh wow.
graduation. And then, of course, now after Haspin Hotel came out, I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to bring him to the world of indie pilots.
I get that. That's cool. That's really cool. So, what I want to say is, I really love Detective Cat. I checked out the first 5 minutes of it. I thought it was hilarious, really well written. I want to say, and I love the characters. They're very diverse. I like Ashley Pooch. I think she plays off of Detective Cat very well. So, what I want to ask you is, do you have a favorite character from your project?
Probably Detective Cat himself,
Oh
because
wow.
I basically projected a lot of myself into him. He's,
Oh.
very anxious, but he's also confident and knowledgeable, and he has a very zany side to him. Very colorful, very, uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I really like him. He gives me like, he's very confident, and he comes across as like smug but charming. Also, that's what I like about him. How did you get an animate? How's the animation process going for your project? Like, do you have a team of animators? Like, what's that like for your series?
Yes, I have about at least 10 to 15 animators, and we've already animated a good chunk of the pilot. The problem
Oh,
is, as with many indie projects, animation's very expensive, and
yeah.
it's been kind of trudging for almost 4 years now.
Wow.
And I'm slowly getting back into it. I recently got Toon Boom, and I'm cleaning up some shots now, and it's definitely going to help speed up the process.
Oh, okay, that's really cool. That's really cool. You have a great voice cast. What was it like getting them together for your series?
Oh, well, I remember when I first started, I put up an ad on Casting Call, and
Mhm.
I got plenty of great candidates for both Foxy and for Detective Cat, and it was just kind of a close call thing, but I eventually picked Kieran Flidden, who now works at Crunchyroll, and he's an amazing actor. He's done a lot of anime and still does anime,
Oh,
and he really brought so much personality and energy to this character, like
I
even
agree.
even more than I could imagine. And he was very fun to work with. He was very professional, and Elsa Lovelock. Elsie. I'm sorry, Elsie. Elsie Lovelock. Of course, I had to pick her because she was previously the singing voice for Charlie. I've seen her in other projects and her song covers, and I remember actually showing her the SCAD version when I visited Burbank for the Husband Hotel premiere, and she seemed to be connected with Foxy, and I just kind of put that on the back burner. And when it came time for casting, I narrowed it down to her, and she, just like Karen, she just brought so much personality, and we had so much fun working on the musical number that she sings. And it's
Yeah, that was
you know
great.
she, she really brings out that classic Disney Renaissance energy, and that was exactly what I needed.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that. That's great. That's great. Yeah, I really
As for,
love the song that she sung for the for what
oh,
you from what you've shown so far on your channel. That I can't. I know Foxy Fatal. It's a song that she sung. I don't know the name. I don't remember the name, but the
Foxy
song was
Patel.
great. Yes.
For Ashley, I immediately sought out Ray Harrell because I've worked with her on a couple of audio dramas, and I also worked with her on D-Tunes. And she's a very talented actress, and she just has that nice, you know, almost youthful energy to her character. But also a sense of maturity since she is technically a young adult, but she has that, you know, enthusiasm, but also this dry sense of humor that I like to mix with.
Definitely
And
get that.
yeah, and finally for Dr. Charlie Horse, I had to seek out Tony Goldmark because I've been a fan of his Some Jerk with a Camera series, and I still tune into him on Escape from the Disney Vault podcast, and he's one of the funniest people I've known, and he did an awesome job with his recordings.
Oh wow. Yep, that's really cool. I love that. So, now that we've talked about that you've talked about your project and the details, I want to ask like what's the end goal for Detective Cat? Do you plan to pitch it to studios or stay independent? Also, do you know how long your show would be like season-wise?
That's something that I'm still thinking about.
Okay.
The pilot itself in total is 18 minutes long, but given how monumentous, this task has been and how expensive and time consuming it is, I have to split it into two parts. So I made an announcement last year that this is going to be a two-parter pilot, and I think 7 to 9 minutes is a good time frame for each episode going forward because I feel like for something as simple and silly as this, you don't really need 30 minutes to tell a story.
That's true.
I mean, look at the classic Looney Tunes. Most of them were 5 to 7 minutes, and they just get their
Yeah.
point across really
Yes.
well. You don't really need to put Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck on an epic adventure or anything.
That's true.
Just have them fight over whether it's duck season or rabbit season. But as for pitching the networks, I'm very picky about this show in particular because I want it to have kind of a PG-13 sort of tone. Like it's written like a classic kids show, but it has a lot more edgy humor and more, challenging ideas. Like since this is a detective series, I like to bring more danger and more, things that you could normally, not show on TV. I mean, we all know about standards and practices and how they give strict mandates on children's programming and what you can
Yeah.
show and not show. And I feel like Detective Cat can't really survive under it. With that said, if it ever comes to a point where I cannot, run a YouTube series by myself, I might have to bite the bullet and just, try to pitch it and take compromises when necessary because
Okay.
sometimes compromises can push your creativity. And I remember there was a show that came out not too long ago. I forget what it was called, but the studios told them they can't use a fireplace because it's dangerous, but
Wow.
that forced them to work around that and create light orbs instead, and that ended up adding to their world building, and they got to have a campfire scene, except not have a campfire. Still work, I guess.
Still worked out. All right, that's cool. And when it so like back to Detective Cat, what I want to ask is how did you create Ashley Pooch? I think she's a cool character. Like how did you come up with her character and what made you make her and Detective Cat like partners?
I originally thought of Detective Cat working alone, but I thought it would be more interesting to have a foil, like someone to, rope him in when things get out of
Mhm.
hand. And it's kind of that classic Batman and Robin, Sherlock Holmes and Watson dynamic. And
That's true.
I just think it's more interesting to have somebody play off of him. And I want to, actually, um, and when it comes to her, character design, she originally had a more thinner physique, but when I was boarding it and kind of loosely drawing the characters, I'm like, wait a minute, I think it'd be interesting if she were more roly poly, because I think there's a good rule in character design that you want your characters to not only fit in the same universe but also have a variety that actually complements their personalities and shows a clear difference in who they are.
I get that.
And I just think it's nicer to have more, plus size
Yeah.
representation in the media. Steven Universe can be a plus size character and still touch the hearts of millions of children. Why can't Ashley?
Yep. I get that. I get that. Yeah, she's a great character. Uh, and that's why I said that I think your cast is diverse because everyone looks different, but they all still feel like they fit into the world that you're trying to create. And what I want to ask too is about Foxy Fatale. If I say her name right,
It's actually Fatale, but it's okay.
I'm sorry,
I'll
Foxy
live.
Fatale. Um, so how did you create her? I think she's great. She has like a real sultry, like sexy kind of character design. Like she kind of gives me like maybe like Jessica Rabbit vibes in a way, but she's evil though. Well, like how did you come up with her?
Yes. Well, I always enjoyed the femme fatale archetype in most, pulpy adventure movies and shows, and I'm also a fan of classic Disney villains like Ursula and Maleficent and Scar. And I wanted to, bring those aspects together in her, but also, make her funny. And, there are times where she, goes through mood swings, and they're very abrupt mood swings. And there's a lot of, potential for that.
I get that. That's cool. And last who I want to ask about is Dr. Charlie Horse. How did you come up with his concept? Because since he's another like plus size character that's part of your cast, like how did you come up with him? He's got a
He's
real cool, distinct look to him.
He's, I mean, first of all, he's literally a caricature of Tony Goldmark, the actor. I mean, I literally created the character just so I can have an excuse to have him, but he does have a purpose. Don't worry, I'm not just shilling for celebrity cameos, but no, I mean, it is a semi spoiler, but it's not a spoiler for the show entirely. He used to be Foxy's belligerent assistant, but
Oh
later
wow.
joins Detective Cat's team, and he's the, nerdy scientist and inventor of the group. And I enjoy those archetypes as well. And I think with Tony's, snarky personality, I think there's a lot of opportunities for comedy and writing.
Cool. So we talked about all your characters. So what I want to ask now is, I'm sure a lot of young artists will be watching. Do you have any words of advice for any aspiring showrunners on how to manage an animated project?
Oh gosh. You see, I'm part of a Discord group full of indie animators, and we're all
Oh,
making our own shows and pilots, and we're all still trying to answer that question ourselves, like how do you run an indie production?
yeah.
Because it really depends on who you are and what your circumstances. I think the reason Hasbin Hotel was so popular was because Vivzi was already a well established artistic influencer, and she had enough of that influence to be able to make her show the way it is. And it because the reason why most mainstream shows like SpongeBob and The Simpsons succeed is because they're funded by a studio, right? They're given millions of
Yeah.
dollars, and they're able to get all these high profile actors and these amazing artists and studios to work with. But we're a bunch of average schmoes, and we're just barely making rent every month. So um I mean, I want to say is, if you're thinking about becoming, if you're thinking about making an indie show, try to start simple. Like, even a 1 minute short is good enough because you're still making content. Don't try to put indie animation in this bubble that it has to be this big, grand 30-minute spectacle like has been. It can be, I mean, Michael Rocco, who is a Warner Brothers animator, he recently came out with a short film called Sniff and Snuff. I think that's the name of the show, but that was only 3 to 5 minutes long, and it's just two minimalistic characters playing around with shapes. And it was very charming and well animated and very funny. And sometimes that's all you really need is just, to keep it simple, especially when you're working in the confines of your own economy. But if you do have enough influence, if you have, a well established fan base and following, if you have plenty of money to spare, I say go for it. Just, you know, really work with other people. Personally, I wish that I had, a team of writers working on the pilot because I wrote and directed it myself. But I'm like, I wish that I had, like, you know, somebody to say, okay, maybe pull this back a bit, maybe simplify this a bit, because that's why I'm still in this, situation, is because I feel like I've bitten off more than I can chew. But that's another great thing about this process, is that it's a learning experience and it helps you, know what to do and what to avoid next time you're making something like this. And I think that can apply for everybody else.
Great. I love that. Great answer. I even learned a lot from that because I'm trying to learn myself about animation and how to run a show because I aspire to do that. So I learned a lot from your answer. So thanks for sharing that. Okay, last but not least. All right, time for the Toon Minds this or that segment. So, Charles, I'm going to list 5 pairs of cartoons, and you have to choose one cartoon per pair. Pretty much the one you prefer out of the two.
Okay,
So,
bring it on.
all right. One, Hey Arnold or Rugrats?
Hey Arnold.
That's a great answer. Um, Two, American Dad or Family Guy? Oh, Family Guy.
Family Guy.
Okay. Three, the Powerpuff Girls or the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy?
Probably Billy and Mandy. Yeah.
Yep, love that. Four, Jimmy Neutron or Fairly Odd Parents?
Jimmy Neutron.
Oh, interesting. Is there a reason why you would choose that one over Fairly Odd Parents?
I don't. I mean, I
That's just
like
giving this
Fairly Odd
answer.
Parents. I grew up with that back in middle school, and watched a good chunk of it before they started adding the baby and the dog, and things just kind of went off kilter, like most long running shows do. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think Jimmy Neutron is a lot more charming, and there's a lot of fun meme material with it, particularly with Carl. I like Carl.
Everyone
Russell.
does. And last one, five. Adventure Time or a regular show?
Oh, that's a tough one because I haven't actually finished regular show. Like, I know how it ends, but it was one of those shows I kind of fell off and moved on to something else. Adventure Time, I kind of did that too, but I've kept up enough with it to see the ending and to watch the latest Fiona and Cake spinoff, which was fantastic, by the way. Um, I guess Adventure Time, because I just think it's much more imaginative and funnier, and I love how they expand the world building.
I totally get that. I haven't seen a lot of that show yet, but I definitely I think it has a lot more substance to it. Well, in my opinion, since I do prefer more of a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you for coming on to the third episode of my show, Charles. Do you have any socials where viewers can reach you?
Yes. On my Instagram, I have uh, official detective cat. That's Instagram.com/official detective cat. And on YouTube, you can find incredible. Sorry.
It's okay.
The Detective Cat Pilot. That's YouTube at Detective Cat Pilot.
All right. Well, Charles Moss, everyone. Thank you for watching, and remember to stay two-minded. Like, comment, share, and subscribe so you can stay up to date with new episodes. Bye. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for future Toon Minds episodes. Bye.